The sun beamed brightly over Lincoln High's football field, where rows of chairs filled with proud families waited for the ceremony to begin. It was graduation day, and excitement buzzed in the air. Students in caps and gowns lined up behind the stage, whispering nervously, while parents and relatives took their seats. Among the crowd, a tall, broad-shouldered man in a crisp Marine Corps uniform quietly slipped into the back row. His name was Marcus Johnson, a decorated black Marine who had just returned home from his deployment overseas. His younger sister, Maya, was graduating today, and there was no force on earth that would make him miss this moment. Marcus stood proudly, clapping for each student as names were called. He didn't need attention, he only wanted to support his sister, but not everyone in the crowd welcomed his presence. 2 event guards noticed him, exchanging suspicious glances. One muttered, "He doesn't belong here," probably snuck in. The other frowned. Uniform or not, he's drawing too much attention. They started toward him, pushing through the rows of seated families. Marcus spotted them coming but stayed calm. He'd faced far worse than 2 overzealous guards. His focus remained on Maya, who was just steps away from the stage, glowing with pride. "Excuse me, sir," one guard said sharply. "This section is reserved. You'll need to leave." Marcus turned his head slowly, his voice steady. "I'm here for my sister. I'm not leaving." Families nearby shifted uncomfortably, sensing tension. The second guard stepped closer, his tone colder. "We don't care who you're here for. You're leaving now." Marcus's jaw tightened. He had no idea that within minutes, 6 men he once called brothers would appear, and the guards would instantly regret everything. Marcus remained seated, his eyes fixed on the stage as Maya's row prepared to stand. The 2 guards loomed over him, drawing stares from nearby families. One whispered, "What's the problem? He's not hurting anyone." But the guards ignored the murmurs. "I said move," the taller one barked, crossing his arms. His tone carried more arrogance than authority. Marcus rose slowly, towering over them both. His Marine uniform gleamed in the sunlight, medals pinned across his chest. "I earned this," he said firmly, his deep voice commanding attention. "I'm not moving an inch until my sister walks that stage." The shorter guard scoffed. "Don't try to play the war hero card with us. You want trouble? You'll get it." He reached for Marcus's arm. Gasps rippled through the audience. Maya, standing in line with her classmates, noticed the commotion. Her heart dropped when she saw her brother being confronted. "Marcus," she whispered under her breath, frozen in place. Marcus shifted his stance, not aggressive, but ready. Years of training surged back, discipline, control, patience. He didn't want to cause a scene on Maya's big day, but the disrespect burned inside him. One father in the crowd muttered angrily, "He's a Marine, show some respect." Others nodded, but the guards brushed it off, determined to assert dominance. "Last warning," the tall guard snapped. "Leave now or we'll drag you out." Marcus met his eyes, unflinching. "Try it," he said, voice low but sharp as steel. Suddenly, the sound of heavy boots echoed against the bleachers. 6 figures in suits, broad-shouldered and purposeful, moved in unison toward the confrontation. Their eyes locked on Marcus, and then on the guards. The audience went silent. These weren't ordinary men, they were Navy SEALs. The guards stiffened as 6 men closed in. They weren't dressed in uniform, but everything about their posture screamed military. The lead man, broad and sharp-eyed, stepped forward. "Is there a problem here?" His tone was calm, yet dangerous. The taller guard sneered. "This doesn't concern you. We're removing this man." The SEAL's jaw tightened. "That man is Marcus Johnson. He served alongside us in Afghanistan. You're not removing him from anywhere." The audience murmured louder. Recognition spread quickly. People began to realize these weren't ordinary guests. They were warriors, standing for one of their own. Marcus gave a faint nod. "Didn't expect to see you here," he muttered. The SEAL smirked. "Wouldn't miss it, brother." The shorter guard barked. "I don't care who he is. Rules are rules." He reached for Marcus again. In a flash, one SEAL stepped between them, gripping the guard's wrist with calculated strength. "Bad move," he said coldly. The guard winced, realizing he was hopelessly outmatched. The crowd erupted, cheers, claps, even students craning their necks. Maya's eyes welled with pride. Her brother wasn't standing alone. The guards had tried to humiliate a Marine. Instead, they'd awakened a pack of SEALs. The guards hesitated, glancing at each other as the SEALs closed ranks around Marcus. The atmosphere shifted. The tension now weighed heavy over the entire field. "Listen carefully," the lead SEAL said, his voice steady but loud enough for nearby families to hear. "This Marine fought for this country. You lay a hand on him again, and you'll answer to all of us." The tall guard's face flushed. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not in front of a crowd. "You think you can intimidate us?" he spat. The SEAL leaned in closer. "We don't need to intimidate. We protect our own." Whispers spread like wildfire through the audience. Parents whispered, "They're Navy SEALs." Students pointed from the stage, while teachers froze, unsure how to intervene. Marcus kept silent, his expression calm, though gratitude flickered in his eyes. He didn't want violence, but he knew his brothers would never let him stand alone. The shorter guard pulled his arm back, realizing the weight of his mistake. Still, pride made him stubborn. "If you don't leave now, I'll call the police." The lead SEAL smirked. "Call whoever you want, but you won't be dragging a Marine out of his sister's graduation." On stage, Maya clutched her graduation cap, her hands trembling. She couldn't believe what was happening. Her brother, the man she admired most, was being treated like an outsider on the biggest day of her life. She wanted to run down the steps to stand beside him, but the principal's voice boomed, calling names in order. Her row inched closer to the podium, her stomach twisted with worry. Back in the crowd, Marcus stood tall inside the protective circle of SEALs. His eyes shifted briefly to Maya. He gave her the smallest smile, a silent message. "Don't worry. I'm fine." The lead guard, still red-faced, spoke into his radio. "Security to the west bleachers. Now." His arrogance was cracking, but his stubbornness remained. One SEAL chuckled. "You really want to embarrass yourself further? In front of the whole town?" Families began recording on their phones. The spectacle was no longer private, it was public, undeniable. The guards were pushing themselves into a fight they couldn't win. Finally, Maya's name was called. She walked across the stage, diploma in hand, tears in her eyes. From the crowd, Marcus and the SEALs rose together, clapping louder than anyone else. The guards' radios crackled as 3 more staff members jogged over, their yellow jackets bright against the sea of seated families. The lead guard pointed sharply at Marcus. "That's him. Remove him, now." The newcomers hesitated. Their eyes swept over Marcus's medals, then to the 6 men standing shoulder to shoulder beside him. Something about the SEAL's posture screamed danger, controlled but dangerous. One of the new guards muttered, "He's a Marine. Maybe we should—" "Orders," the lead guard snapped. "Do it." The SEALs didn't flinch. The broad-shouldered leader stepped forward, his gaze locked on the reinforcements. "Before you make the worst mistake of your careers, think about this. Those phones recording aren't going away. The whole town will see how you treated a Marine and the men who fought beside him." The crowd murmured in agreement. Parents began shouting, "Leave him alone, and he belongs here." Marcus finally spoke, his voice carrying across the bleachers. "I came here for one reason, to watch my sister graduate. I've stood on battlefields where respect was earned by sacrifice. If you can't recognize that, then the problem isn't me, it's you." The guards froze, caught between pride and the growing wrath of the crowd. The tension snapped when an elderly veteran stood from the front row, his cane trembling in his hand. "That man wore the uniform for you," he shouted, pointing at Marcus. "You should be thanking him, not throwing him out." Cheers erupted instantly. Parents clapped, students stomped their feet, and the bleachers shook with support. The guards' faces turned pale. What had started as a confrontation was now a public humiliation. The lead guard tried to bark over the noise. "Everyone calm down. This is official protocol." "Protocol?" a mother yelled back. "Your protocol is disrespect." Phones filmed from every angle, capturing every word. The guards were trapped under the weight of public outrage. Marcus stood steady, his posture perfect, his silence louder than any speech. The SEALs didn't move, their presence alone a warning. Maya, still on stage, looked out over the crowd. For the first time, she didn't see a fight. She saw unity. Everyone was standing for her brother. The shorter guard swallowed hard, his arrogance fading. "Maybe we should let it go," he whispered. But the lead guard wasn't ready to back down. His pride wouldn't allow it, and that mistake would cost him dearly. The lead guard's voice cracked as he tried to reassert control. "If we back down now, we lose authority," he muttered to his team. His pride clung tighter than reason. The SEAL leader stepped closer, his presence commanding silence. "Authority isn't earned by bullying, it's earned by respect. And right now, you have none." The crowd roared in agreement, clapping and shouting encouragement. A few students even raised their diplomas in salute toward Marcus. Maya pressed her diploma against her chest. her eyes shimmering with pride. This was no longer just her graduation. It had become her brother's vindication. One guard radioed nervously. "They're filming everything. We're going to be on the news." The lead guard hissed. "I don't care. He's leaving." He lunged forward, aiming to shove Marcus. But before contact was made, a SEAL intercepted him, gripping his shoulder with iron force. "Enough." His voice thundered across the bleachers, silencing the field. The guard froze, realizing just how powerless he was. Cameras zoomed in, recording every humiliating second. Marcus finally broke his silence with calm finality. "This ends now. You won't touch me, and you won't ruin my sister's day." The guard's authority crumbled before everyone's eyes. The lead guard's hand trembled beneath the SEAL's iron grip. His bravado melted into visible fear, though his pride kept him silent. The crowd, however, had no intention of staying quiet. "Apologize," someone shouted. "Show respect," echoed another. The chants grew louder, uniting students, parents, and veterans alike. The graduation had transformed into a stand for honor. Marcus stood tall, his uniform gleaming, his silence unshakable. The SEALs didn't need weapons. Their discipline and presence alone crushed the hostility. Finally, the shorter guard dropped his radio. "This isn't worth it," he muttered. He stepped back, shame written across his face. Two others followed, retreating toward the edge of the field. The lead guard tried one last bluff. "If the principal backs me, you'll all—" But before he could finish, the principal himself appeared, rushing from the stage. His expression was stern. "Enough. This man is welcome here. He's a Marine, a protector of our country, and the brother of one of our graduates." The audience erupted in cheers. Maya's tears spilled freely, her diploma held high as she looked toward Marcus. The guards had wanted to cast him out. Instead, they had elevated him higher than ever. The principal's words echoed across the field, silencing any doubt. "This Marine is an honored guest," he declared, pointing directly at Marcus. "And anyone who disrespects him disrespects this school." The crowd surged to its feet in thunderous applause. Parents whistled, students raised their diplomas, and veterans saluted with trembling hands. The energy was electric, a wave of respect crashing over Marcus. Marcus inclined his head slightly, humbled. He hadn't come for attention, only for Maya. Yet here he was, standing as the center of honor. The lead guard's face burned crimson. Stripped of authority, he jerked his arm free from the SEAL's grip and stormed off, his pride shattered. The remaining guards trailed after him, their heads bowed in defeat. The SEALs relaxed but stayed close, their brotherhood unshaken. One clapped Marcus on the back. "Always finding ways to stir things up, huh?" Marcus smirked faintly. Didn't even say a word. On stage, Maya lifted her diploma toward him, her smile radiant. "For you, Marcus!" she shouted. The crowd cheered louder, celebrating both her achievement and her brother's dignity. That day, it wasn't just a graduation ceremony. It became a testament to respect, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond of family. When the final student's name was called and the caps flew into the air, the celebrations spilled across the football field. Families embraced, laughter echoed, and cameras flashed everywhere. Marcus waited by the bleachers, the SEALs still close by. Maya sprinted toward him, her gown flowing behind her. She threw her arms around him, tears streaking her cheeks. "You were here for me," she whispered. "Always," Marcus replied softly, squeezing her tight. The SEALs stood back, smiling at the reunion. One of them muttered, "Worth every mile to be here today." Parents and students began approaching Marcus, shaking his hand, thanking him for his service. Some even apologized for how the guards treated him. The respect was overwhelming. Meanwhile, the disgraced guards huddled near the exit, avoiding eye contact. Their earlier arrogance had evaporated, replaced by shame. They were no longer feared, they were ignored. The principal approached Marcus personally, extending his hand. "Mr. Johnson, on behalf of this school, thank you. Today you reminded us what honor looks like." Marcus nodded humbly. "I just came to see my sister walk the stage. That's all the honor I need." Maya smiled proudly. "And you gave me the best graduation gift ever." As the crowd slowly dispersed, whispers of the incident traveled like wildfire. Everyone had seen the confrontation, and the story would be retold for years. The SEAL leader glanced at Marcus. "Funny thing about moments like this, they reveal who people really are." Marcus nodded. The guards thought authority was power, but real power is respect. Without it, you've got nothing. Nearby, the humbled guards received no sympathy. Parents avoided them, veterans scowled, and even fellow staff members shook their heads. Their attempt to humiliate Marcus had only destroyed their own credibility. Maya tugged Marcus's sleeve. "You taught them a lesson without lifting a finger." He smiled. "That's what discipline looks like. You don't always need to fight to win." One of the SEALs added, "But it helps having backup." The men laughed, their camaraderie unshakable. As they walked toward the parking lot, families stopped them again and again, asking for photos, offering handshakes, sharing gratitude. For once, Marcus let himself accept it, though he knew he hadn't come for recognition. He came for Maya, and in standing for her, he reminded an entire community what respect, honor, and brotherhood truly meant. The SEALs gathered with Marcus near the edge of the parking lot, laughing like old times. Their bond was clear, brothers forged in fire, unshaken by distance or years. One clapped Marcus on the shoulder. "We didn't even plan this, but somehow we always show up when one of us needs it." Marcus chuckled. "Guess that's what family really means." Maya stood beside them, wide-eyed. "So, you all fought together?" The SEAL leader nodded. "Every deployment, every battle. Your brother was the backbone that held us steady." Maya's chest swelled with pride. She had always admired Marcus, but now she saw just how deep his impact ran. A group of students walked past, whispering in awe. "That's the Marine and the SEALs," one said. Their voices carried admiration, not fear. Marcus looked at his sister and then at his brothers in arms. "Funny how today was supposed to be about you, Maya." She shook her head firmly. "It still is. You just showed everyone what real honor looks like, and that's the best gift I could get." The SEALs exchanged approving smiles. For them, standing by Marcus wasn't a favor, it was instinct, and that bond would never be broken. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky with warm hues as the ceremony drew to its end. Families packed up chairs, laughter and chatter filling the air. Yet one story lingered stronger than any diploma: how a Marine and 6 SEALs turned a graduation into a lesson in respect. Marcus stood beside Maya, her diploma clutched tightly in her hand. "This was your day," he said softly. "Don't let what happened overshadow it." She shook her head, smiling through tears. "No, Marcus, you made it unforgettable." Nearby, the SEALs prepared to leave, but not before one spoke. "We'll always have your back, brother. No matter the place, no matter the time." They clasped hands, their farewell simple but powerful. As the crowd thinned, parents approached once more, thanking Marcus for his service, congratulating Maya, and shaking the SEALs' hands. The guards, humiliated and forgotten, slipped away into silence. Maya leaned against her brother. "One day, I'll tell my kids about this, how their uncle stood strong, and how his brothers made the world respect him." Marcus smiled faintly, eyes on the horizon. "And I'll tell them it was never about me, it was about family. The day ended, but the memory would never fade."